People who met their so or another important person in their life through Reddit. What's your story? Someone posted a photo of Jamaican patties that hit the front page. I commented that amazing patties were sold at a plaza near me, a rather obscure suburban one. I got replies saying I never thought I'd see plaza mentioned on Reddit. One user sent me a message asking for other takeout suggestions as he'd just moved near the plaza I wrote about. He mentioned his first name and the big box shop he works at, asking if I knew any good places near there as well. Fast forward 2 years and I'm shopping at the aforementioned big box shop, unable to find the item I need. I ask for help, and this cute guy starts looking up the item. I notice his name tag and the memory just clicks for some reason. Me. Is your name? Him. Up. Yep. Me. Do you go on Reddit? Him. Up. Yes. Me. We chatted 2 years ago about food. Him. Relieved. Oh. We've been together over 2 years and are moving in together this July. Right after college I moved to a new city by myself and I was having trouble meeting people. I ventured onto the city's subreddit and saw a meetup posted for a Halloween pub crawl, so I decided to go. I told the group what costume I would be wearing and headed out. I got to the first bar a bit late, so I assumed the group had moved to the next one. The group saw me from the line for the next bar and called me over, but just as they did, two very shady looking guys, who had apparently been following me since the last bar, popped up from behind me and told me they were here to take me to the party. One of the members of the Reddit group I was going to meet stepped forward and said, "No, this is our friend. She's with us. You two can leave." So, essentially a group of Reddit strangers saved me from real life strangers. That was 5 years ago, and the group I met that night and I are still super close even though only about half of the original group still lives in the same city. We grup chat and roast each other every day. I also met my so of 3+ years through the group. So thanks to Reddit not only did I not get kidnapped but I also met most of my favorite people in the world. Met my ex-GF now best friend on Reddit. She uploaded the picture of one of the cats in my college campus. I identified it, texted, and eventually we met up in college. Best relationship ever. However, while being with me she learned that she wasn't into men. So we stayed as friends and hang out almost every day. I posted to my local subreddit for a few weeks that I was going to play trivia every so often, looking for new friends. One time a guy comments, "Sure, sounds like fun." So we're at trivia with 2 other friends of mine, and I just immediately like him. I get him to follow us to karaoke after that. I messaged him a few times, found out he was on OkCupid and was single and asked him out about a week or 2 later. Been together almost 7 years now and married for almost 3. Was going through a depressive time. The 16th of July, 2017 was the death date I decided for myself. I purchased a lot of drugs. I was gonna OD myself. I was addicted to OxyContin. I also self-harmed. The 15th of July, 2017. I decided to go do something that I loved for my last day on earth. Play some video games. I got into a lobby of 4 people. Usually I'd mute the players and play music instead, but for some reason something told me to listen. There was a woman in the lobby. She tried including me on the conversations she was having with her 3 friends. So I joined in and it was all great and fun. The next day, my death date, we chatted all day and played video games all night. She made me feel happy and totally made me forget about wanting to kill myself and made the loud voice in my head quiet. To this day, we've almost known each other for 2 years. She's my girlfriend and soon to be fiance. She has 2 amazing kids and I love them both. They call me dad. She saved my life and gave me a family and lots of love. I owe her the world. My now husband and I both responded to a thread looking for players for a particular role-playing game, and time and commitments worked out so that we both ended up in the same group playing this game. We got to chatting outside the game when I'd mentioned something about my ex-husband, who I still lived with at the time despite being divorced. My now husband was confused about my living situation. So he asked me a few questions. We started chatting more and ended up playing in another game together. At the time I was single, but not really looking. and I told myself I wasn't going to do a long distance relationship again. My first marriage had started long distance as well, and in chatting about this, my now husband joked and said, "I'm going to make you love me." It went on for a few months after that, and in early 2014 we had a long chat by email and through Skype, a lot of back and forth, and eventually decided that okay, yeah, we'd try this thing. He was in the UK, I was in Australia. I went to the UK for the first time ever to visit him at the end of 2015. I went back again at the end of 2016, and in January 2017 he asked me to marry him. That was also the weekend my ex-husband died, so it was a very happy moment followed by several of the most traumatic weeks of my life. But my partner was so supportive and caring through the whole thing. I knew I'd made the right decision. I'd already sold my house in Australia back at the beginning of 2016, and unfortunately shortly after my ex passed away, our dog also died. So there was very little tying me back to my home country. We prepared all the documents and requirements for planning a wedding and a fiancé visa for the UK, and in August 2018 my visa was granted. I quit my job of 10 years, got on a plane and arrived in the UK in September 2018. We were married in October, and my temporary residence was approved in January 2019. We've been living together since September. Things aren't always perfect, but I'm happier than I'd been in a very long time. He's a very sweet man. I adore him to the ends of the earth, and I'm so happy that I get to spend, hopefully, the rest of my life with him. I had just moved to NZ in the Auckland sub, was having semi-regular meetups. I decided to go and meet some new people. My partner was a local but had broken up with his girlfriend a few months prior and decided to go to the meetup for similar reasons. We made a good group of friends and ended up at a few outings together and started flirting. We started dating a couple months before my visa was up, but could tell this had potential to be something special. We decided to move in together so that I would be eligible for a partnership visa and stay in the county. It made the relationship move pretty fast, but 5+ years later, we're married, bought a house in Auckland, a huge feat these days, have a lovely 2-year-old papa, and just welcomed our baby girl into the world in March. We are so in love and have a wonderful, happy life together. All thanks to our Auckland having some meetups at the local pub. Never on Reddit, though I'd consider there are a couple of people I've interacted with on here enough that I actually care about them. I met one girl on a message board a long time ago though. Not like, met a girl and wanted to bang, but someone who liked the same bands as me and was actually interesting to talk to. I've been talking to her for 25 years and never met her. She knows all about my life, family, ups, downs, etc, and I about hers. I'd say it's a truly pure and amazing friendship. Outside my immediate family, the most important to me. She literally is a best friend who doesn't really judge and actually cannot judge, and I know I truly care about and cares about me. It's one of my few constants in this world. Met Miso on a writing subreddit. Started talking, and talking turned into getting to know each other. I wasn't 100% sure I wanted to really start a relationship, and I honestly tried to end things and just walk away, but he sent me a really sweet, heartfelt message on Valentine's, of all days, and I realized, maybe this guy does like me, and he's actually been paying attention, learning about me. Fast forward 2 months, and after weeks of asking, I tell him he can take me out on a date. He drives 7 hours to come see me. God, we were both so nervous. He could barely talk and I couldn't shut up. He kissed me in the parking lot, my first kiss, and spent the weekend with me. That was over 2 years ago. We've been living together nearly a year, have 2 fur babies, and I'm more in love with him now than ever. He's the best choice I ever made. Best little orange envelope ever. I moved to another country to be an au pair after college and didn't know anyone who had ever been there. A boy in the city I was moving to asked if any Americans wanted to get coffee or beer so he could practice his English. He shared his Twitter profile so he seemed normal. I also read about how hard it was to make friends in Norway, so I was all over the idea of my first possible friend. He gave me a lot of good advice before I moved. He studied in the US as a college student, so had some good points of help. 3 weeks after I moved, he invited me to a party. I got pretty wasted, and he let me sleep in his bed while he slept on the couch. A month later we were dating and 6 months later we were engaged. A year later he moved to the US and a week after that we got married. Now, 4 years later, we have a cute puppy with a heart-shaped nose and we will go back to Norway for his 30th this summer. I only started using Reddit to ask questions before I moved to another country, but since it brought me to meet my person I figured it's worth sticking around on. Major shout out to our Norway.